contain small projects approved by the board at the various school sites. We have gone through a process of put quite simply, basically a lottery process to select architects and engineers for these projects. We first advertised in the newspaper for interested firms to submit their qualifications and their interest for these projects. We advertised that twice in the newspaper. We reviewed that information that was turned in, and the small projects committee got together right before the holidays, and we went through a lottery process, basically pairing up architectural firms with architectural projects, mechanical engineering firms with mechanical projects, electrical engineering firms with electrical projects, and also civil engineers with civil engineering type projects. So what you have before you is the listing of firms who were qualified and the projects that were funded. You may notice that there were 8 architects who submitted for small projects. However, we had 10 projects. So what we have historically done is the 8 architects are selected randomly by lottery, and those are listed, and then we follow up with the projects are selected by lottery, and when we get down, we get through the 8 projects, then we would start repeating the architects as they appeared, 1 through 8. So architect number 1 and number 2 will actually receive 2 projects, which is project number 9 and number 10. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. And similarly, on the civil engineers, there were only two civil engineering firms that submitted, and there were 8 projects. So basically, each civil engineer gets 4 projects. Similarly, on the mechanical engineers, we had 4 mechanical engineering firms, 15 projects. So almost everyone gets 4 projects except for 1. And on electrical engineers, we had 3 electrical engineering firms for 11 electrical projects. So if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer those at this time.
The firms, for example, electrical and engineering firms, you had 3 firms out of 11 projects. That's 3 firms who expressed interest,
Yes.
and these projects were 15, 16.
Some were 15, 16, and some were 14, 15 projects
That
that we haven't started
haven't
yet.
started.
Yes. Still need to get those projects done, but things have been kind of crazy the last couple of years.
So with approving this, the projects will start now, right?
Well, it's an agenda item on the board meeting for tomorrow night for the full board, but I wanted to bring it to the facilities committee first for review.
Like the Acadiana highlighting upgrade, that's the stadium, right?
Yes, sir. But
Okay, I
and
was
that
just, yeah.
that one's already in
Right.
process,
Yeah,
and
that's what I was seeing. So the architect was actually picked for that.
the
Engineers.
Acadiana High lighting upgrade is the interior lighting in the school.
Oh, okay.
The stadium lighting is already it's in the bid process right now.
That's tomorrow.
Yes.
On there tomorrow.
Yes,
saw
you're
that.
right.
I was wondering if this was the same thing.
No, sir. This one on this list is the interior lights in the school.
While we're talking, can I ask you something about lighting at Acadiana?
Yes, sir.
That was brought up to me. I never realized it, but outside the gym, like if you go to a basketball game, it's pitch black. The parking lot is pitch black. I never paid attention, but now that I think about it, it is. and I had some parents and ask me about it. And going to basketball games, it's not something I paid attention to. But it's pitch black on the back. Is there any way, like with this lighting upgrade, is that something that can be included? I don't know if you put spotlights or poles with lights, but
Well, there's multiple ways we can try to address it. I mean, initially, I'd have to go take a ride out there and look, but I'm wondering on the power poles that go back to the stadium, I'm wondering if there are dusk to dawn or some kind of floodlights on those poles.
I don't think so because, and like I said, it's not something you think about. But the few times that our football players' vehicles have been broken into while at away games, that's where they park.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes a lot of sense now because it's pitch black because you have the school, and then you have the few portable buildings, and then you have the gym, and there's no lighting because I don't think there's any nighttime lighting under the commons area either or near the portable buildings, what's basically called the 700 hall.
Mm-hmm.
And the next home game, which I know we play tonight, I don't know if we play at Acadiana or Como. If it's at Acadiana, I'm gonna go just to see, with the game going on. I mean, you have a little light coming from the gym, from the doors, but other than that, if I remember correctly, they say it's pitch black back there, and I just didn't know if that needed to be the next time we put a budget together for next year, or if we had any projects going on there that it could be included, just a couple of spotlights on the outside of the gym.
Quite possibly, if we have some funding left toward the end of this interior lighting project, if we have funding left, we could probably address it with either some lights on the outside of the gym. We could possibly also look at getting the electrical company to add some floodlights on the poles, and they add a monthly charge to our bill, $4 to $5 a month for every floodlight. But if the floodlight burns out, they replace it for free. So of course, then the highest cost upgrade to that would be actual poles in the parking lot, which would cost for the poles and the electrical and the usage during the course of the year. But I mean, we can look at the lower cost options first and see if we can fit that into this project.
Just right off the bat, I'm thinking 2 or 3 spotlights coming off of the gym towards the parking lot would probably be enough. Now, what would that do when you're looking into it, walking, they'd have to be bright. But it's something I never noticed. As much as I'm at that school, I never paid attention to it. It's just the way it was.
Okay.
But it is pretty dark.
Quite possibly a few floodlights on the power poles shining towards the gym might suffice, or at least it would help at least.
Right, because I think putting poles, in the parking lot itself, I think that'd be a little too expensive. The parking lot's not that big, and the area you're covering from the power poles, or from the gym, that direction is not that big of an area that it wouldn't take much to light it a little.
Okay. We'll take a look at that.
Thank you.
While we're talking about lighting in Acadiana High, last time I visited Acadiana High, I noticed that the baseball field area and the softball field area did not have outdoor lighting. Do any of our high school campuses, baseball and softball fields, have lighting?
No, sir, we do not.
Okay. All right, sorry to get off topic.
Give me time, Mr. Hidalgo. Give me time.
Oh, you're working on that?
I will be.
Oh, okay. Dr. Aguilar?
Just to comment, members of the committee, I think Kyle understands that I'd like some of these old projects previously funded in prior years. I'd like those projects done. So it's got some help now on board. We're going to be moving some of these items off of the 14-15 list, try to get some of these projects done.
Mr. Lotchley, do you have a pleasure? You want to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead and accept this approved list of Architectural and Engineering Services.
To recommend to the full board.
To recommend to the full board.
Second. You want to do a voice vote or you want to call? Okay.
None against.
Thank you.
And Mr. Lochley, Acadiana is at home tonight. You're at home.
Awesome.
Are we on TV? 'Cause if we are, we on TV? Sandra, I'm going to the basketball game.
All right, the next item on the agenda, Maintenance Department work orders, mid-year report. Mr. Bordelon, Dr. Aguilar.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hidalgo. The report you see in front of you is for work orders completed through December, the end of December of this current fiscal year. As you can see, we have completed, in the last column down at the bottom, we've completed 10,886 work orders so far this year, which is on par for our normal. At last fiscal year, we completed a total of 21,508. So we are right about on the same schedule as last year. I also included, just for reference or just for knowledge, the second page, the work orders backlogged for the period of July 1 through December 30. And we're currently at 701 backlogged work orders. We have recently, in last week, as a matter of fact, we've given a copy of the backlog to each of our maintenance supervisors, asked them to go through those to clean up any work orders that may have been completed but not closed out, or duplicate work orders, anything of that nature. Some of the work orders that may be aging, we've asked them to check those out, verify with the principal if indeed it is or is not needed. And if it is still needed, to take those older backlog work orders and get those completed as quickly as possible. So if you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer.
I know you, on the first report, you say that you're on par based upon last year's requests. Are this year's requests in line with last year's requests as well?
Well, I haven't gone through them individually, but I'm pretty sure they are.
I have a question, but I'll ask you offline later. After
Okay.
the meeting, I'll ask it after.
All right. Well, I'll move that the Facilities Committee accept the Maintenance Department work orders report.
I'll second it.
So,
2 for, none against.
all right. No more items on the agenda. This meeting's adjourned.
Thank you, sir.